Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
Hello, everyone. This is Roger Chen from University of San Francisco Center for Business Studies and Innovation, Asia Pacific. Anita, welcome to join our interview program. We want to first thank you for supporting us. Would you please briefly introduce yourself?
Thank you, Roger, for this opportunity. My name's Anita Manwani, and I have been in Silicon Valley for many, many decades, way before some of the freeways were in place. But my story kind of goes back a long ways. I came here as a student, and now currently, I'm the CEO and founder of a lab information management solution software company. The company is called Relims. We are doing business as Relims, though we started out as Karobar Business Solutions. And prior to that, I was a senior executive with Agilent Technologies and Hewlett Packard. And prior to that, I was in a startup in a robotics company. And I have two hats. My other job, which is a voluntary job, is the president of TAI Silicon Valley. And TAI has been around for 30 years. So we'll talk about that, later on in this conversation.
Discussion topic: lesson on taking external capital to grow business.
Share with some kind of lessons you learned in expanding into these different type of product services. Did you make mistakes, or did you have some lessons to share as you gradually grow from your initial service?
Great question. Made lots of mistakes, Roger, and learned the hard way. Firstly, I think one of the first mistakes that I made was because I started with services, there was enough cash to kind of invest in the business and to develop a product and to, find your first set of customers. The mistake was I should have taken money from the outside world early on, so I could scale up early on. A lot of the growth was organic because I had contacts with some of these labs, because they were buying our services before we then started to get referrals from them, from lab directors. And that was a very, that kind of expanded the business. But my failure, and not failure because I didn't attempt it, I just didn't go out and raise the money from outside, was a challenge in terms of rapidly scaling marketing and sales. And that was something that I should have done much earlier. We've now got that. We've got that engine going. And, we've got a team that does dialing for demos. We've got a team that is doing a lot of market research on where the target markets and where are the new labs that are opening up and so on. So that's, and perhaps some would say that it's also an advantage when you don't have external venture capital coming in, because it allows you to pivot into adjacent spaces, which we did. We pivoted and added cannabis. And as you know, a lot of there could have been a question mark as to why are you moving into cannabis? But for us, it was an opportunistic adjacent space. And so today we've got, customers that are in clinical, and of course our primary is clinical, and then we've also got cannabis customers, cannabis laboratories, I should say. We're not in the business of selling cannabis, but we have laboratories because of the regulations, both industries, whether it's, the healthcare industry, which is highly regulated with HIPAA and everything, and the cannabis industry with regulations is also very regulated in terms of THC content in terms of moisture, mold, and all of those 108 categories that you have to test. So, these were, that was one mistake I would share, that, taking capital at the right moment to kind of scale up your business. And that's a lesson I learned.
You kind of share with us your lessons of this process of exploring and evaluating various adjacent opportunities, and what's the lessons, because that's also very, very important issues many startup companies will face. So do you have any kind of a lesson to share with us about the approach, about the process of evaluating, testing, and growing these different and new areas, and also making adjustments?
So, one of the lessons that I learned very early in my corporate career, and I was very happy that I worked for a company like Hewlett Packard, where the lesson was customer is always right, number one. And the number two lesson was, in order to succeed in selling, you must be a partner and a trusted advisor first. It's not just one transaction. And so the approach we took was the team embraced that completely. And we had key members of our team who were supporting and, talking to the customers as they were kind of deploying solutions and so on. So on a technical side, they were all trusted advisors. From a business perspective and a process perspective, I also spent a lot of time making sure that I could build that trusted advisor relationship with at least a couple of the labs in each of the verticals, so that we could share with them best practices that we had learned from other labs, so they could see the value in kind of getting our opinions, but also they would share with us some of their challenges and some of the innovative workflows that had to be put in place during pandemic. And we had these trusted labs gave us the opportunity, these trusted partnerships with these labs gave us the opportunity to really design these processes. So that was a lesson that got reinforced in my entrepreneurial career, but it was a lesson that I had learned early on in my corporate career.
Oh, that's great. So in other words, actually, you basically, when you explore these different fields, opportunities, you heavily rely on the partners. These are different labs to kind of co-develop, work together to help you get into these different spaces. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. So initially, like in cannabis and hemp, we had a very good partner, and we still work with this lab. And even in COVID, the first couple of customers in COVID, we were doing enabling testing at schools, in public sites, in Hollywood studios, in exercise studios. These are all very different scenarios where you don't know the name of the person who's going to walk in. There is no patient ID, which you traditionally rely on in the healthcare space. So we had to come up with so the business workflows were ones that we developed from our company, but the challenges and the process that they shared with us was so valuable. And oftentimes it's not just the technical product, it is the use case that includes the entire process and how the product is going to be used, that allows you to really make your product a differentiated product of value to the customer.
So related to that question, maybe you can tell us, because you call that mistake, could you articulate maybe, to other entrepreneurs, what's the sort of like a negative consequence resulted from this not involving external capital early enough? why you call that as a mistake? What's the consequence to your business? What did you miss because of that slow involving external capital?
I think external capital often allows you to focus beyond just the product. It allows you to make investments. In my case, it would have allowed me to make bigger investments in marketing and sales, which is a very important thing. A lot of times, because there is so much activity going around product development and there is adoption with few customers, you get the sense of success and progress. But for a venture to really make its mark, it's about scale. And it's about customer footprint. And that can come only when you are willing to take the risk, take that capital to invest in marketing and sales.
Thank you for watching.